Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To get your own very copy of Qasas Al-Nabiyīn Part 1, Special Edition, which features extensive vocabulary, grammatical analysis, rhetorical elements, syntactical insights, Quranic linguistics, overview of verb patterns, diacritical mark reference tables, Hansware dictionary abbreviations, over 1000 word forms, then click in the link in the description below.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So here we have story number 6. So inshallah, let's get started. So we have the title here. So let's zoom in, inshallah. We have the first word, which is nar. Now titles, we will treat them normally as just phrases. So there's nothing governing the word nar. So we will say it's narun, which means fire. Narun means fire. And it's a descriptive phrase. It consists of man'ut and nat. And baridatun means cold. So this is acting as the sifa of narun, and sifat follows the i'rab of mawsuf, or the nat we can call it, follows the i'rab of the man'ut. So narun is man'ut, baridatun, which means cold, is the nat. So that's why we say narun baridatun, cold, fire. So let's move on to our first verb. The first word, is ijtama'a. So this is a verb from ijtama'a yajtami'u, which means to gather. So past tense verbs are mabni. They're indeclinable. They'll stay the way they are. So we'll say ijtama'a. It'll be mabniyun ala al-fath. Next we have the word an-nas. So who gathered? The people. So the people will be the fa'il. So we'll give it a dhamma. It's marfu with a dhamma. So the people gathered. What means and? It's mabni. All particles are mabni. Indeclinable. Qalu is also mabni, but it's mabniyun ala dhamm. It's indeclinable with a dhamma. Why? Because it's attached with vowel jama'ah, the vowel which signifies plural in the verb, and they said. Next we have ma, which is ismu istifham. It's a noun which is used for questioning, so it's mabniyun ala sukun. That is the ismul ishara, so the demonstrative pronoun, and that will also be mabniyun ala sukun. But together we translate mada as what. So whether you want to treat it as one word and just say mada is mabniyun ala sukun, it's fine. But you want to break it down, it's actually two words. Naf'al lu. So this is a verb from fa'ala yaf'alu, which means to do. So there's nothing governing the fi'l mudari before it. So we got no particles of nasb or jazm. So like allan, kay, idhan, etc. So we're going to say naf'alu. And what does this sentence mean? Ijtama'a an-nasu wa qalu madha naf'alu. The people gathered and they said, what are we going to do? Next, we have the particle inna, which means indeed or surely, most definitely. So inna is a particle. Particles don't change. Inna will always be inna. Next, we have the word Ibrahim. Now, Ibrahim is a noun, and we know that inna, after it, the noun will be mansoob. It'll be in the state of nasb. So Ibrahim is going to become Ibrahima, because it's becoming the noun of inna. And the noun of inna is mansoob. But we're not going to give you a tanween because this word is ghayr munsarif. It's a word that does not accept tanween or alif lam. So what's the two causes? One is alam and the other one is ujma. So inna Ibrahima. Verily Ibrahim. Now we got kasara, which is a past tense verb. This is also going to be mabni. So verily Ibrahim, he broke. So inside kasara there's actually a pronoun, which is the fa'il, and it refers back to Ibrahim. That will leave the word asnam now to become the maf'ul bihi. And maf'ul bihi, we know that it's in the state of nasb, so it's going to be mansoob with a fatha. Kasara al-asnama. Waw is a particle, it remains wa, so it's going to be mabni al-fath. Ahana, this is a past tense verb. Ahana yuhinu ihanatan, which means to humiliate. So ahana is going to also be mabni, indeclinable, with a fath. So nothing's governing the verb ahana, past tense verb. They are indeclinable. They're not impacted by any word before it. Inside ahana, we have the fa'il, which is huwa, and that refers back to Ibrahim. And he humiliated. That leaves the word al-alihata to become the maf'ul bihi. And maf'ul bihi is mansub. Here it'll be with a fatha, so it'll be al-alihata. And he humiliated the gods. So the sentence reads and translates as Inna Ibrahima kasara al-asnama wa ahana al-alihata. Surely Ibrahim, or verily Ibrahim, he has broken the idols and he has humiliated the gods. Moving on to our next sentence, wa means and, so mabniyun al-fath. Sa'ala, this is a past tense verb and it means to ask. So sa'ala means asked. Who asked? The people. So the people is going to become the fa'il of sa'ala, and fa'il is marfu, so we're going to read this with a dhamma. Wa sa'ala an-nasu, and the people asked. What did the people ask? Ma means what, so it's used for question. It's actually a noun. So it's ismu istifham, noun and interrogation. It's mabniyun ala sukun. So what is the punishment? Iqab means punishment. How we're going to read this? Is it going to be iqab, ba, bu, or bi? But if let's look at the sentence, what's before it. Ma has come before it. So we're saying what. So if ma is a noun, that means ma takes the role of mubtada'un. That's going to make iqab to become the khabar. What is punishment of Ibrahim? So iqab is the khabar of ma. So if iqab is a khabar is marfu, so we're going to give you a dhamma. But notice here, we're not going to give a tanween. We're not saying ma iqabun, because it's involved in a possessive phrase. Punishment of Ibrahim. So mudhaf don't have tanween, so we're going to say iqabu. Ibrahim is becoming the mudhaf ilay. That means Ibrahim is in the state of jar. But now you're going to be surprised, Ibrahim is not going to have a kasra. We're not going to say ma iqab Ibrahimin or Ibrahimi, because this word is ghayr munsarif. And ghayr munsarif words in the state of jar have fatha without tanween. So we're going to say ma iqabu Ibrahima. So let me repeat that again. Ibrahim is ghayr munsarif. It's not a fully declinable noun. And these words in the state of jar, instead of having a kasra, they are going to have a fatha without tanween. So it's going to be ma iqabu Ibrahima. Next we have ma again, similar thing as the previous sentence. So it's a noun. So it'll take the role of mubtada'un. So ma is mabniyun ala sukun. It's a noun which will remain as ma, doesn't matter what comes before it. Jaza'u means penalty. So what is the penalty of Ibrahim? Again, jaza'u here is acting to be the khabar of the word ma. And khabar is marfu, but we're not giving a tanween because jaza'u is mudhaf towards Ibrahim. So what is the penalty of Ibrahim? Again, Ibrahim is in the state of jar because it's mudhaf ilay. But here we're not going to give a tanween because it's ghayr munsarif, so we're going to give it a fatha without a tanween. So ma jaza'u Ibrahima. So let's read the sentence. وَسَأَلَ النَّاسُ, and the people asked, ma iqabu Ibrahim, what is Ibrahim's punishment? Ma jaza'u Ibrahim, what is Ibrahim's penalty? Now, kana means was, past tense verb. So kana means was. Al-jawab. Al-jawab means response. So the response was. Now we know kana has a noun, and the noun of kana will be marfu. So we have kana Allahu ghafuran. So the noun of kana will be marfu. So if al-jawab is the noun of kana, it's going to be marfu with a dhamma. So kana al-jawabu. Now notice here the response was. What was the response? This whole sentence. حَرِّقُوهُ وَانْصُرُوا آلِهَتَكُمْ. This whole sentence, in terms of i'rab, will become fi mahalli nasb, the khabar of kana. So the ism of kana is just the word al-jawab, and the khabar of kana is this whole sentence here. So let's break down the khabar of kana. Now this is actually a command verb. It's from harraqa yuharriqu tahriq, which means to burn, but it's in the command form. So we're going to read this as harriqu, harriqu. Okay, so it's fi'lu amr, it's an imperative verb. Okay, and imperative verbs, they are also considered to be mabni, so they won't change. It doesn't matter what comes before the verb harriqu, it will remain harriqu. Inside the verb harriqu, we have the fa'il as well, because it's commanding plural. So you, meaning harriqu, antum would be the fa'il, because it's addressing all, plural, masculine. And the who here is referring to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. So it's the maf'ul bihi. So burn him. What means and? It's mabniyun ala al-fath. That's not going to change. Next, we have the command form from nasara yansuru. So we're going to say one suru, and help and support and assist. Again, here unsuru is fi'lu amr, it's imperative verb. It's mabni, it won't change. Okay, with harriqu and wansuru, what's it going to be mabni with? It'll be mabniyun ala hazfin noon. It'll be mabni with the omission of the noon. In other words, harriqu is made from fi'l mudari, yuharriquna. But what happens is you remove the alamat mudari, you, and you're left with harriquna. Because you're making imperative, the noon is omitted. So now you're saying harriqu. So from yuharriquna, it became harriqu. Same thing with unsuru. It's made from yansuruna. You've got rid of alamat mudari, the ya, and the noon, because now the verb is imperative. So we will say unsuru and harriqu. It's mabniyun ala hadfin noon. It's mabni with the omission of the noon i'rabi, which was there in the fi'l mudari form before formulating it into the imperative verb. And help, wansuru, help who? Okay, your gods. So the word gods is actually the maf'ul bihi of, let's just try to make that a bit more long, alihata. So in unsuru we got the verb, we got the fa'il. That leaves alihata to become maf'ul, gods. So it's going to be maf'ul bihi mansub with a fatha. And kum is a pronoun which means yours. So your gods. Wansuru alihatakum. So let's read this. كان الجواب حرقوه وانصروا آلهتكم. The response was, burn him and assist and help and support your gods. So notice here, kana, the ism of kana was al-jawab, and the khabar of kana was not one word, it's actually a statement. حرقوه وانصروا آلهتكم, and that becomes في محل نصب, the khabar of kana. So let's move on. What means and? Now, hakadha, there's actually a couple of words in hakadha. Okay, so let's first sort the font out, inshallah. So ha is actually a particle that is to capture attention and alert. So ha is ismul ishara mabniyun ala sukun, because when you say ha, it ends with a hollow sound. So ha is mabniyun ala sukun. Kaf is for tashbih. So kaf is for tashbih, is a particle, so it's mabniyun ala al-fath. And the dha is ismul ishara. So that's mabniyun ala sukun. So in hakadha, there's actually three words. The ha, which is for alerting or capturing attention, hakadha. So like when we normally say hada, there's actually two words, ha and the word dha. Ha is to capture the attention, ha, and the dha is pointing, which is ismul ishara. So same thing here as well. The ha is for capturing attention. The kaf is for comparison. So comparing, like this. And the dha is the ismul ishara. So this is just a phrase like this. Kana, it happened. So kana is a past tense verb. So that's going to be mabni ala al-fath. So kana. So like this happened. What happened? Now this is actually a past tense verb from awqada yuqidu iqadan, which means to light or kindle. So awqadu. So this is a past tense verb, awqadu, and it's mabniyun ala dhamm. Why? Because it's joined with wawul jama'ah, the waw of plural. They lit. So we got the file inside awqadu, which is the waw. Okay, so let's just bring it up to there. Now, naran, what did they light and kindle? A fire. So the word naran is becoming maf'ul bihi, so it'll be mansoob with a fatha. Wa, again, it's a particle, so it means and. This verb is a past tense verb which means to cast, to throw. So it's from alqa yulqi, ilqa'an, which means to throw. So if we see the past tense form is alqa, but when we say they threw, it'll become alqaw. So we're going to read this as al-qaw. And they threw, they casted. So it's mabniyun ala dham al-muqaddar, because it actually originally was wa al-qayu. Okay, like akramu. But here the waw, obviously the dhamma, sorry, on the ya has been omitted. The dhamma and the ya is also assumed. So this is mabniyun ala dham as well, but al-muqaddar, because originally was wa al-qayu. So it's not mabniyun ala al-fath here, okay? Because there was actually a ya there. When you say alqa, when you write alqa, it's actually with a ya. Fi is a preposition, so in, so it's mabniyun ala sukun. Ha is a pronoun, mabniyun ala sukun as well. It's a pronoun. Pronouns are also considered to be indeclinable. But here it still will experience the state of jar because of the preposition fi. They threw in it. Who did they throw in it? Ibrahim. So Ibrahim is becoming the maf'ul bihi of alqaw. So we're going to give Ibrahim a fatha. So it's going to be mansoob with a fatha. Wa alqaw fiha Ibrahima. No tanween because this word is ghayr munsarif. Wa is a particle. Again, particles, all particles, they do not change. So we're going to say wa. Next word is lakinna. So this is considered to be harfun mushabbahun bifi'lin. So it acts like inna. That means lakinna is going to have a ism and it's going to have a khabar. So it's going to have a noun, and the noun of lakinna is going to be mansoob. It governs like inna Allaha ghafurun. So lakinna is going to have the noun, and the ismul jalala is the noun of lakinna, so it's going to be mansoob with a fatha. The khabar of lakinna here is not a one word, it's actually a sentence. So this sentence is going to become fi mahalli raf. It's going to be in the state of raf because it's forming to become the khabar of lakinna. So sentences can experience states as well. So nasara is a past tense verb which means helped. However, Allah, He helped. So inside nasara we have the pronoun which refers back to Allah. So He helped to Ibrahim. Ibrahim is becoming the maf'ul bihi of nasara. So we're going to read this mansoob, but when one fatha, because it is ghayr munsarif. Walakin Allah nasara Ibrahim. Wa again is a particle. Qala is a past tense verb from qala yaqul, which means to say. So it's mabniyun al-fath. And the file of qala is hidden inside, which is a pronoun, and that's referring again back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And qala is not used with a direct object, so it's used with a preposition. So the li here is mabniyun ala al-kas, is a preposition, and an-nar is the noun that comes after the preposition will be known as majroor. So it's going to have a kasra because of the li. وَقَالَ لِلنَّارِ. So let's read this. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ نَصَرَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَقَالَ لِلنَّارِ. However, Allah, He helped Ibrahim and He said to the fire. Next we have ya, which is a particle of calling out. So the vocative particle, harfu nida. Now when we call out, the word one we call out to would be mabniyun ala dhamm. So it will have one single dhamma. So ya naru. So even if you're calling out Zaid, for example, you say ya Zaidu. So this is how we will read this. Ya naru. The next verb is actually an imperative verb commanding something feminine. So normally, like for example, if you say unsur, it's addressing a masculine, which means you one man help. But if you want to make that feminine, you say unsuri, there's a ya involved. So kuni is actually the feminine form of kun. So if you want to command a masculine is kun, for the feminine it's actually kuni. So kuni is fi'lu amr and is addressing singular feminine. And these verbs, we did say fi'lu amr is mabni. It's indeclinable, but we will say it's indeclinable with the omission of the noun because kuni is actually made from takunina. Takunina. So the ta was omitted and the noon was omitted and it became kuni. So it's fi'lu amr ala hadfin noon, mabniyun ala hadfin noon. So it's fi'lu amr mabniyun ala hadfin noon. Imperative verb indeclinable with the omission of the noon i'rabi, the declinable noon. So it gives the meaning of become. Become what? Bardan, which means cold. So kuni, inside kuni, there's is fi'lun naqisun, i.e. kana. So kana, we know he has a ism and he has a khabar. Kana Allahu ghafuran. Allah is oft forgiven. So here kuni, in the command itself, the noun is present, which is anti, addressing singular feminine. So anti inside kuni is the ism of this verb kuni. That makes bardan the khabar. And we know that the khabar of kana is mansoob. So bardan is acting like is acting as the khabar of kuni. That's why we're going to say bardan, become cold. So bardan is mansoob because of the khabar of kuni. Where's the ism of kuni? The pronoun inside, which is anti. Next we have become cold. What means an? So mabniyun al-fath. Salam means peace. Okay, so peaceful. So salam, why is this mansoob? Because this is actually doing atf, is joining onto bardan, which is ma'tuf alayh. Now there's a concept in Arabic, when we want to join something onto something else, then we can use the conjunctive particles. In this case, the waw. So salam is being joined onto bardan. That will make salam the joined word, ma'tuf. And bardan, the word joined onto, ma'tuf alayh. So the ma'tuf, in this case salam, follows the i'rab of the ma'tuf alayh, in this case bardan. So that's why we're saying salaman. Ala is a preposition. It's mabniyun ala sukun, because when we say ala, it's actually end with the mad sound, so it's going to be mabniyun ala sukun. Okay, and Ibrahim is a noun that follows the preposition, so it's going to be in the state of jar. But however, here we're not going to say Ibrahimin, we're going to say Ibrahima because it's غير munsarif words. In the state of jar, it's going to be fatha bila tanween, fatha without tanween. وهكذا, we've already done this, so we can probably just do a copy and paste job there. So وهكذا, waw is a particle, it's mabni al fath. Ha is also particle of capturing one's attention. So harfu tanbih, mabni ala sukun. The kaf is harfu tashbih, particle of comparing, mabni ala fath. The dha is ismul ishara, and that's mabni ala sukun. Kana is a past tense verb, so it will be mabni ala fath. So let's move on. Now we're on to the next part, which is kanat. So now we see it's actually in the feminine form. Now kanat is a past tense verb, so it would have been mabniin. Well, it is mabniin ala sukun, but temporarily it's been given a kasra because it's joined onto the word an-nar. So we would phrase this in Arabic as كانت فعل ماض مبني على السكون الذي حرك إلى الكسر منعا للالتقاء الساكنين, which simply just means is the كانت is a past tense verb which is mabni with a sukun, which has been given a haraka to prevent two sakins coming together. So that's why we're going to say كانت naru. Well, it was actually كانت. Now what we're going to read next, might need to just move that a bit up. Okay. Are we going to say النار, النار, or النار? Well, كانت, it has a ism and it has a khabar. The ism is marfu, so we're going to say كانت النار. And the khabar is mansub, so the fire became bard, means cold. So this is the khabar of كانت, so the fire became cold. So let's the translation of the previous one. Ya naru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. O fire, become cold and peaceful upon Ibrahim. Wa hakadha kana, and like this it happened. So the fire became cold. Bardan, so it's mansub because the khabar of kanat. Wa means and. Salam is doing atf, is been joined unto the word bardan, and ma'tuf follow the i'rab of ma'tuf alayh. The joined word will follow the i'rab of the word that has been joined onto. Ala, like the previous one, so we can just do copy and well, it's a different color, so we'll just do ala is a preposition mabniyun ala sukun. So we're going to say ala is going to remain as ala. Ibrahim is follows on from a harful jar, no tanween because it's غير منصرف. غير منصرف words are going to be fatha bila tanween. So let's read this. كانت النار بردا وسلاما على إبراهيم. And the fire became cold and cool upon Ibrahim, or peaceful upon Ibrahim. The fire became cold and peaceful upon Ibrahim. What means and? So it's a particle. مبني على الفتح. رأى is actually رأى. So it's مبني على الفتح المقدر. So there's an assumed fath on the verb رأى. Because of obviously rules of sarf, it became رأى. So what we see is with a mad. So it's not actually مبني على السكون, even though we say رأى, it's مبني على الفتح المقدر. It's mabni with a fath, which is assumed because it was رأى. So it means to see. Who saw? An-nas means people. So the people is doing the action. So it's fa'il marfu with a dhamma. What did they see? Anna means that. So anna governs like inna. So it's going to have a ism and it's going to have a khabar. An-nar is becoming the ism of anna. So it's mansub with a fatha. The people saw that the fire. So la tadurru Ibrahim is going to become the khabar of anna. But notice here, it's not one word. So that means this sentence is going to experience the state of raf, the nominative case, because it's becoming the khabar of anna. So la is mabniyun ala sukun, it's a particle. Now this verb is from darra yadurru darran, nasara yansuru, muda'af. It was actually darara yadurru. Okay, so which means does not harm. So la tadurru, the dad's got a dhamma. La tadurru, that the fire is not harming. Inside la tadurru is a pronoun which is here, and that refers back to the fire, an-nar. That means Ibrahim is not harming Ibrahim. Ibrahim is becoming the maf'ul bihi of la tadurru. Okay, so it's going to be Ibrahim ma. No tanween, so we're not going to say la tadurru Ibrahiman because it's غير munsarif. So this is how we will read the sentence. وَرَأَى النَّاسُ أَنَّ النَّارَ لَا تَضُرُّ إِبْرَاهِيمَ. And the people saw that the fire is not harming Ibrahim. So ra'a is past tense verb, and nas is the fa'il. Anna with his ism and his khabar will become the maf'ul bihi of ra'a, because that's what they saw. So it's not an apparent maf'ul bihi, but it's like an implicit one. So wara'a, we've already done wara'a nasu. We can probably just copy and paste that there. Okay. Anna as well. We've already done anna. It's a particle. Okay, so it's not going to change. An-nas is marfu because of the fa'il. And the people saw that. Now Ibrahim is becoming the noun of inna. Anna, sorry. So it's going to be anna Ibrahim mansub, but with one fatha. Why? Because it's غير munsarif. It's not fully declinable. The next word, they saw that Ibrahim is happy. Masroor means happy. Okay, and the word masroor is actually passive participle ismul maf'ul from sarra yasurru, which means to make someone happy. So sarra yasuru means to make happy. Masrur means someone who has been made happy, literally. We can just translate as happy. So masrur is that going to be masrurin or run or run? Well, let's look at before. We have before it, there's anna. Anna has an ism which is mansub and the khabar is marfu. So we're going to say masrurun. وَرَأَى النَّاسُ أَنَّ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مَسْرُورٌ. And the people saw that Ibrahim is happy. So instead of obviously breaking it down grammatically, ra'a was the verb, an-nas is the fa'il, and anna with this ism and its khabar will become mansub fi mahalli nasb, sorry, the maf'ul bihi of ra'a, because that's what they saw. Now we're adding on to the anna Ibrahim masrurun wa anna, so wa again particle mabniyun alal fath. Anna is also particle mabniyun alal fath, and that Ibrahim is becoming the noun of anna. So again, Ibrahim is going to be mansub or with a single fatha. Salim is going to become the khabar of anna, which is marfu. So we're going to say salimun. Wa anna Ibrahim salimun. And that Ibrahim is safe and sound. And notice here, anna Ibrahim salimun. This is actually joining on to anna Ibrahim masrurun. So you can even make anna Ibrahim masrurun as the ma'tuf alayh, and wa anna Ibrahim salimun as the ma'tuf. And together you can make it the maf'ul bi of ra'a. All this is mentioned in the i'rab. So when you purchase the book, you will see that the whole grammatical breakdown in terms of i'rab and tarkib, both are provided in the book in a text format. So you can work out the i'rab and you can also work out the tarkib as well. Next we have wa, which means and, mabniyun al-fath. Now this verb, it can be read from sami'a yasma'u, dahisha yadhashu, or you can read it in the passive voice and say duhisha. Okay, so if we say dahisha, the people were amazed. And if you read duhisha, you can probably translate it as the people were put into amazement. Okay, so dahisha nasu, let's choose the active verb here, dahisha. You can read duhisha as well. If you read duhisha, then anas would become the naib file. Okay, it won't become the subject, it'll be the actual object which is deputizing for the subject, because when the verb is passive, you don't have a subject, you have naib file, which is actually in essence the object, but it's taking the role of the subject. Now here we're going to read it as the fa'il. So it's the doer. The people were astounded, dumbfounded. So wadahisha nasu is the fa'il. And wa again means and. This is from tahayyara yatahayyaru, from bab tafa'ul, past tense verb. Watahayyaru, and they were bewildered. Watahayyaru. Again here, this is a past tense verb, so we're going to say it's mabniyun ala dhamm. Why? Because it's joined with wawul jama'a, the plural waw, which signifies a plural masculine, and they were perplexed. Watahayyaru. So alhamdulillah, I think we've got to the end of the story there. So yes, we have. So you may want to take probably a screenshot of that. Okay, so that's the whole story. Alhamdulillah, we've gone through the grammatical aspects, the i'rab side of the whole story. And if anybody is interested in purchasing the book, you will get the full vocabulary breakdown of it. So narun, the plural is niranun, and it means fire. Even it's noted down here that it's feminine. So look here. So you can see baridatun. Even the verb form is mentioned. Barada yabrudu bardan. It can even come from nasara yansuru karuma yakrumu. Ijtama'a, from babit iftiali, means to gather. Ahana yuhinu ihanatan, to despise. It's used with a direct object. It could mean to despise someone or something. Aqaba, so it's given the verb form as well, because the masdar iqab, which means to punish. Jaza yajzi, the verb form. Jawab means response, answer, the plural adwibatun. So all the vocabulary, you will find that in the book extensively, with the root letters, the verb patterns, interlinked with the Hansword dictionary, and even contextualized Is it used with a direct object or is it used with prepositions, etc.? And this is the whole grammatical breakdown. إعراب. So اجتمع فعل ماض مبني على الفتح. So it gives you a breakdown. So vocabulary will get you to the end of the letter. And the last vowel marking, the whole إعراب will cover that. So look, you got الناس فاعل مرفوع with a ضمة. So all this is explained in the إعراب. And then obviously we have our rhetorical points, and we have points of even from tafsir. So we'll just choose one here. We'll choose this one here, al-ihtiras. Al-ihtiras in the Arabic language is a rhetorical feature where you sometimes mention something extra in the sentence to avoid confusion. So I'll give you an example in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about Musa alayhi salam, and it says, وَأَدْخِلْ يَدَكَ فِي جَيْبِكَ, and insert your hand into your garment. تَخْرُجْ بَيْضَاءَ, it will come out white. مِنْ غَيْرِ سُوء, without any defect. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala added the word مِنْ غَيْرِ سُوء. If he just mentioned it would come out white, that still denotes, obviously, that is something, miraculous. But however, white can denote leprosy. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought min ghayri su to rule out that this whiteness was not due to some deficiency or illness or disease. So ihtiras is a rhetorical feature. So we can see that playing out in this story. How? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the word salam. So kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim, become cold. Now, excessive coldness can be harmful. So ihtiras feature has taken place. By mentioning salam, it cancels out the possibility of one thinking that this coldness of the fire was actually harmful. No, salaman. It was actually peaceful. It wasn't that cold that it was actually, going to harm Ibrahim alayhi salam. So this is like rhetorical points that are mentioned in the book as well. ذكر سلام بعد ذكر البرد كالاحتراس لأن البرد مؤذن بدوامه. So cold can actually be harmful if it's perpetual. ربما إذا اشتدت, and sometimes it can even be severe. That's why obviously after the mention of برد it's followed up with what? بذكر السلام لذلك, for this reason. So that's a nice rhetorical feature that's mentioned in the book as well. You'll find these amongst other features as well. Okay, and even from tafsir, like I mentioned, so we have here حرقوه. So we see here that the Mufassirun mentioned that لما أرادوا إحراق إبراهيم جمعوا له حطبا مدة شهر. That when they decided to burn Ibrahim, they gathered firewood for 1 month. And even to an extent that there was an old woman who was old, and she even made a vow. حتى كانت المرأة تمرض. Okay, and she made a vow that if she was, granted good health, that she would even participate in gathering firewood against Ibrahim alayhi salam. And they put him into a pit, and they lit it and put fire to it, and it had a very big flame to it. That even حتى إن الطائر لا يمر من فوقها فيحترق من شدة وهجها وحرها. That even if a bird was to fly over it, the flame was so great and big that the bird would even burn. And then eventually it's mentioned here that he was put inside a catapult, and he was actually catapulted into the fire. So these are things, obviously, and then this is profound, where later on he mentions that Jibril came, فَجَاء إِلَيْهِ جِبْرِيل فَقَالَ أَلَكَ حَاجَةٌ. Jibril al-Islam came to Prophet Ibrahim and said, do you have any need? And he said, قَالَ أَمَّا إِلَيْكَ فَلَا. In need of you? No. فَقَالَ جِبْرِيلُ فَاسْأَلْ رَبَّكَ. Jibril al-Islam said, ask your Lord. And then he said, حَسْبِي مِنْ سُؤَالِي عِلْمُهُ بِحَالِي. Allah knowing on my situation is enough in terms of me asking. In other words, Allah knows what my situation is. That is sufficient for me from even asking. So subhanallah, he's content with what Allah has decreed for him, and his iman and his faith and is so strong that that is enough for him. That Allah knows my hardship, my situation. I don't even need to ask from him. He knows I'm happy with the qadr and the what Allah has decreed for me. Subhanallah. So these are rhetorical points and points from tafsir that can be found in the book as well. So one thing I just probably want to highlight to you in this video as well is the grammatical aspects that are found in the book as well. So these, these are verb patterns. You can get all the verb patterns in this book as well. So Nasara Yansuru has sub patterns like qala, yaqulu, da'a, yad'u, sadda, yasuddu, etc. So once you realize that there's sub patterns, it kind of makes sense how these verbs are formed. And then grammatical moods are explained, marfu, mansub, and majroor. How would you know which words are in the state of raf, nasb, and jar? They are explained. A verb in the state of jazm, diacritical tables, so all this. So in terms of when you have different types of declinable words, in different states they are experience different vowels. Sometimes it's a vowel, sometimes it's a letter. So sometimes we see that it's changing by letters like abuka, abaka, nabika. Sometimes it's vowels. So when will this happen? So this is a whole chart there, and there's one for the fi'l mudhari as well. Okay, so that's enough, inshallah. If anybody is interested in purchasing the book, the link is in the description. For now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To deepen your understanding of the Arabic language, explore our range of courses, including Balagha, Arabic Rhetoric, covering the 3 core disciplines of Arabic Rhetoric. The Arab course, which offers a comprehensive study of diacritical markings, and the Tarkib course, focusing on sentence structure and composition, along with many other enriching programs. To learn more, click the link in the description.